Jallianwala Bagh Massacre, or the Massacre of Amritsar, was an incident on April 13, 1919, in which a large group of British soldiers fired on unarmed civilians in Amritsar, Punjab. In this week's video, let's analyze the brutality of this event and the effects it had on the Indian independence movement from that day forth. During World War I, the British government of India enacted a series of repressive emergency powers that were intended to combat subversive activities. By the late 1917, when the war was about to end, expectations were high among the Indian populace that those measures would be eased and that India would be given more political autonomy. The Montagu-Chelmsford report presented to the British Parliament in 1918 did in fact recommend limited local self-government. But what followed was something else. The then Government of India passed what became known as the Rowlatt Act in early 1919, which essentially extended the repressive wartime measures. It essentially gave them the power to arrest any person without any trial. The acts were met by widespread anger and discontent among Indians, notably in the Punjab region. Gandhi in early April called for a one-day general strike throughout the country to show Indians' objection to this rule. In Amritsar, the news that prominent Indian leaders Satyapal and Saifuddin Kichlu had been arrested and banished from the city sparked violent protest on April 10, in which soldiers fired upon civilians and angry mobs killed several foreign nationals. The particular province was put under martial law. A force of several dozen troops, commanded by Brigadier General Reginald Edward Harry Dyer, was given the task of restoring order. Among the measures taken was a ban on public gatherings. On the day of the festival of Baisakhi on 13 April 1990 in Jallianwala Bagh, a public garden in Amritsar, a crowd of non-violent protesters had gathered. Also, among the crowd were pilgrims who had come to celebrate Baisakhi. General Dyer came there with his troops and blocked the only narrow entrance to the garden. Then, without warning, he ordered his troops to fire at the unarmed crowd, which included children as well. The indiscriminate firing went on for about 10 minutes until the 650 rounds of ammunition were exhausted. This resulted in the deaths of at least 1,000 people and injured more than 1,500 people. Dyer's rage did not end on 13 April 1919. He wanted to punish Amritsar more. On 19 April, he promulgated the crawling order concerning the street where Miss Sherwood had been assaulted. The order, which was strictly enforced, disallowed Indians to pass through the lane, and if they did, they had to crawl. They were tied to tiktis, flogging post, and flogged with several stripes. According to Amritsar's popular writer Naresh Johar, those who were made to crawl included a blind man, a few handicapped people, and a pregnant woman. This tragedy came as a rude shock to Indians and totally destroyed their faith in the British system of justice. This also led Gandhi to soon begin organizing his first large-scale and sustained non-violent protest, the non-cooperation movement. The then Government of India ordered an investigation of the incident, the Hunter Commission, in 1920. Although the commission condemned the act by Dyer, it did not impose any disciplinary action against him. He was relieved of his duties in the army in 1920. Michael O. Dyer, the then Lieutenant Governor of Punjab, who had approved the actions of Brigadier General Dyer, was assassinated by Uddham Singh in London in 1940 as revenge against the massacre. Uddham Singh had witnessed this massacre as a child. In a sense, this particular incident sparked the era of Gandian movements in India, which finally forced the British to leave India in 1947. Thank you for watching. Do share your thoughts on the comment box below about this incident. Like the video and subscribe to Cape Now.